The story of Thomas, a journey from failure to success. Thomas was an ordinary student with big dreams, but was often plagued by self-doubt. He lived in a small town where opportunities were scarce, and the future seemed uncertain. His family wasn't wealthy, and they couldn't afford expensive schools or tutors. Yet, Thomas dreamed of becoming an engineer, though many people around him thought his dreams were unrealistic. In school, Thomas wasn't at the top of his class. In fact, he struggled with math and science, the very subjects he needed for his engineering dream. His teachers told him he needed to focus more, work harder, and stop daydreaming. His classmates teased him for being a big dreamer with no talent. These words hurt Thomas deeply, but they also sparked a fire in him that made him more determined to prove them wrong. Despite his struggles, Thomas never gave up. Every evening after school, while his friends played games or relaxed, Thomas sat in his room with his textbooks. He knew he wasn't the smartest in the class, but he had something else, grit. He spent hours solving equations, studying concepts he didn't understand, and watching online tutorials when he could access them at the local library. His progress was slow, and sometimes he felt like giving up. But every time he was close to quitting, he reminded himself of his dream. One day, something changed. During a particularly difficult exam, Thomas faced a problem he had studied for weeks. To his surprise, he solved it easily. That moment was the first time he realized the power of consistent effort. Although his grades had been below average for years, he began to see small improvements. And with every small improvement, his confidence grew. But life wasn't going to let Thomas succeed so easily. In his final year of school, just before the big exams that would determine his college future, tragedy struck his family. His father lost his job, and they could barely afford basic necessities, let alone educational resources. Thomas was forced to take on a part-time job at a grocery store to support his family, which meant less time for studying. Many people in his position would have given up on their dreams, but not Thomas. He worked during the day, studied late into the night, and made sacrifices no one else could see. His friends drifted away because he no longer had time to hang out. Sometimes, Thomas felt completely alone, as if the weight of the world was on his shoulders. But in those quiet, lonely moments, he always reminded himself why he was doing it, to build a better future for himself and his family. The night before his final exams, Thomas felt overwhelmed. He was exhausted, both mentally and physically. He wasn't sure if he had studied enough, or if his efforts over the years would pay off. That night, he barely slept, worrying that all his sacrifices might not be enough. The exams came and went, and Thomas did his best. When the results were finally announced, he hesitated to look at them. He feared failure. But with shaking hands, he opened the envelope and saw something that changed his life forever. He had passed with top marks. Not only had he qualified for engineering school, but he had also earned a scholarship to a prestigious university. All his hard work had paid off. But the story doesn't end there. University was a whole new world. Thomas found himself surrounded by brilliant minds from across the country. It was intimidating at first. His classmates came from well-off families, attended top schools, and had resources he had never dreamed of. For a moment, Thomas felt out of place again, as if he didn't belong. However, he remembered his journey, the late nights of studying, the sacrifices he had made, and the belief that he could rise above any challenge. So, just like he did in high school, Thomas worked harder than anyone else. He studied twice as much, asked questions when he didn't understand, and sought help from professors whenever he could. He took internships during the summer to gain practical experience, and by his final year, he was one of the top students in his program. Thomas graduated with honors, but more importantly, he graduated with a deep understanding of life. He knew that success wasn't about being the smartest or the most talented, it was about resilience, perseverance, and believing in yourself when no one else does. After graduation, Thomas went on to work for a top engineering firm, eventually starting his own company. He became a role model for students from his hometown, showing them that it didn't matter where you came from or how many times you failed, what mattered was that you kept going, even when it seemed impossible. Moral of the story: Thomas' journey teaches us several powerful lessons. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Thomas wasn't the most naturally gifted student, but his perseverance and dedication made him excel. Sacrifice is often a part of success. Thomas had to give up time with friends, sleep, and even his comfort to pursue his goals. True success often requires making tough decisions. Believe in yourself, even when others don't. Many people doubted Thomas, but he never let their negativity stop him. Self-belief is one of the most powerful tools you can have. Failure is not the end. Throughout his journey, Thomas faced setbacks, poor grades, financial struggles, and moments of doubt. But each failure was a stepping stone to success. Success is a journey, not a destination. Thomas' success wasn't immediate. It came after years of effort, sacrifice, and growth. Achieving your dreams often takes time, and you must stay committed for the long haul.